MLS opening kick just days away. I am Mike Guillaume, your host, Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast, here to bring you my picks and predictions for all of the Week 1 action in MLS, starting out on Friday, April 16th. Thanks for joining me. Guys, hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that notification bell as well so you don't miss any of our awesome American soccer content. Let's jump right into these games here. The first game up of MLS coming back this season for 2021. Houston Dynamo hosting the San Jose Earthquakes at BBVA Compass Stadium in Houston. This one, the San Jose Earthquakes come in as big-time dogs, plus 328. Houston is a minus 151, and a draw comes in at plus 281. Both of these teams have had decent off seasons, haven't really turned up the heat too much this season. Not some big signings, but both teams look to be improved over last year. I can't distinguish between the two. I'm going to go with a draw on opening night there at 7 o'clock is the kickoff time. I'm going with the draw, plus 281. That's my pick between Houston and San Jose. The second game on Friday night, April 16th, a rematch of the Western Conference Finals from last season. Seattle Sounders hosting Minnesota United FC. What a game we had last year in the playoffs. This will not live up to the expectations of that game. There's no way, because that game was so insane at the final 15 minutes or so of that game. The odds in this one, plus 292 for Minnesota, minus 133 for the Sounders, and a draw comes in at plus 264. How do you bet against Seattle in their home opener? Minnesota has improved. They just picked up the signing of Ramon Pablano from Boca Juniors, but I still see Seattle winning this game. My pick, Seattle Sounders to get it done against Minnesota. Moving to the Saturday games, the first game of the day, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, CF Montreal, no longer the Montreal Impact, hosting Toronto FC from Inter Miami Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. Yes, the Canadian teams, they're stuck playing their games in the USA. Montreal comes in as a plus 297. And Toronto comes in at a minus 140. We do have a small sample size for TFC, as they have already played one leg of their Lyon Champions League series against Lyon of Mexico. Now, Toronto was able to get the draw in the leg 1, but the second leg is still upcoming at the time of recording on April 8th. So again, these odds may change, everybody, before these games kick off 9 days from now. So Montreal and Toronto, I see Toronto getting it done. Even though they are just full of injuries and they're having a hard time keeping a healthy squad, Montreal has not improved that much in the offseason. My pick is TFC to get the victory. Next, a game between two teams that it was kind of being built up as a rivalry, then it wasn't a rivalry, but then maybe it is. Orlando City hosting Atlanta United. Atlanta playing in the Champions League as well. Orlando coming off their first MLS playoff appearance. How will the Lions fare against Atlanta? The Lions never do very well against Atlanta, at least in their series history, but in this one, I see Atlanta having that couple games already under their belt. That's going to help them. The game is in Orlando at Exploria Stadium. My pick coming into this one is a draw at plus 291. If you're looking to take Orlando City, you've got a minus 151, and Atlanta comes in at plus 315. So some really nice odds there for Atlanta, especially a team that's going to have two games under their belt. But my pick in this one is a draw. Moving to the next game, LAFC hosting Austin FC. The first game in Austin FC history. What will this team do? Will this team be like LAFC and make the playoffs in their first year? Will Austin FC be more like Minnesota, where it was kind of that slow build? The first season or two didn't go so great. Austin, I expect them to challenge for a playoff spot this season. The odds for this coming in, Austin FC a huge dog at plus 422. LAFC at minus 163, and the draw comes in at plus 249. For me, though, an expansion team's not going into the Bank of California Stadium, even though I don't think it's called the Bank of California Stadium anymore. They're not going into LAFC's home and beating them. My pick is LAFC to get the win over the expansion side, Austin FC, in the first game of their inaugural season. Next, DC United hosting New York City FC. New York City, they just picked up a couple decent signings with Alfredo Morales and apparently some other signings that are very close according to sources, but not yet finalized. DC United expected to be one of the worst teams in all of MLS this season. Don't tell their coach that or some of their players, but that the odds are not looking good for DC United. DC at home is a plus 297 dog. New York City comes in at minus 140. The draw comes in at plus 278. New York City, I think, is just too strong for DC United. I'm going with New York to get the victory over DC United in this game. So my pick, NYCFC. So halfway through these games here, guys, check out the join button down below. We offer memberships now at Sons of a Pitch, an American soccer podcast. Please check out the join option and help support our podcast, continue to grow the game of soccer here in the United States. It really helps us continue to grow. As well, you get some awesome perks, loyalty badges, custom emojis at the starter level. Get your name in the scroll for all of our live podcast episodes and live stream reactions. Not to mention, if you hit that designated player level at $4.99, we offer, you get a one per month live only for members, as well as some other perks that you can see here on the screen. So check out that option and consider joining to help grow the sport of soccer here in the U.S. and join the best MLS community on YouTube. Moving right along, FC Dallas hosting the Colorado Rapids, Toyota Stadium in Dallas. Colorado comes in at a plus 199, Dallas at plus 114. A draw comes in at plus 237. So nobody is a big favorite in this one. Both teams with positive odds here. It's because really don't know enough about either one of these teams to at least the odds makers don't. But Dallas had a decent offseason. Colorado, not a whole lot of movement. This one, though, I really like Robin Fraser and the Colorado Rapids. I think last season was a bit of a downside for them with all the COVID issues that they ran into, hence them getting into the playoffs with less points, but it went to points per game just for them. With them at the plus 199 odds, my pick is Colorado to get the job done over Dallas on the road at almost plus 200 odds, which is really, really good odds considering you've got a decent team like Colorado, a good chance to win that game. My pick, Colorado Rapids. New York Red Bulls hosting Kansas City. Sporting KC comes off their devastating playoff loss to Minnesota last season when they were the top of the Western Conference. And they haven't had a whole lot of movement either. New York Red Bulls, their new coach, Gerhard Struber, this is the first game for him at Red Bull Arena. New York is very, very tough to beat at Red Bull Arena. Kansas City is a very good team, and if this game was being played in KC, my pick would be with Kansas City. Now, looking at the odds, plus 284 for Kansas City, minus 119 for the Red Bulls, and the draw comes in at plus 237. As I said before, my pick would go to Kansas City if this game was in Kansas City. Because it's at Red Bull Arena, I'm going with a draw in this one at the plus 237 odds. I see the draw happening in Gerhard Struber's first game in charge of the New York Red Bulls. Chicago Fire hosting New England Revolution from Soldier Field. Supposedly, as of now, this will be the first game for the Fire at Soldier Field with fans. Remember, they made the move last year from Bridgeview into the city of Chicago. No fans were in attendance because of coronavirus. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to have fans, but with things acting up the way they are and Lori Lightfoot in charge of Chicago, you never know what's going to happen. The Fire hosting New England. The Fire just not that good of a team. At home, plus 142 odds. New England at plus 156. The draw comes in at plus 237. I have a really hard time picking the Chicago Fire when they really haven't improved much in this offseason. They lost a couple pieces in Jordy Mihailovic, as well as CJ Sapong, and really didn't replace those pieces. So they do have a lot of young talent coming up for the Fire, but under head coach Raphael Wicki, I don't know if it's enough. My pick is New England to get it done at the plus 156 odds. This is a team led by Bruce Arena, a very strong finish to the season last year, went on a good playoff run. I like New England to get it done against Chicago. Last game of the night on the 17th, Nashville SC hosting FC Cincinnati, the bottom of the league Cincinnati, but Cincinnati has come through and made a lot of big-time moves in this offseason, picking up probably the signing of the offseason in Brenner from Sao Paulo. But Nashville improved as well, and they were a very, very decent team towards the end of last season, going on and winning 2 playoff games, including knocking out Toronto FC in the first round. So Nashville comes in at double your money, plus 100, and Cincinnati at a plus 246, being on the road, this game being at Nissan Stadium in Nashville. A draw comes in at plus 223. For me, I like what Cincinnati's done in the offseason, but I can't quite get on board with it yet until I start seeing it on the field. I'm going with Nashville. My pick is Nashville SC to get it done at double your money against what was the worst team in the league last season and may still be again this year, although it doesn't look like they will be. But once we'll see what they do on the field before we start picking Cincinnati. Moving along to Sunday, April 18th, Inter Miami against the LA Galaxy. This is a nationally televised game here in the U.S. Inter Miami was supposed to host LAFC as their first ever inaugural game, at home game at least, and that game got canceled a couple days before because of coronavirus. So this is officially the opener, the big-time opener for Miami, even though they did have some fans in attendance towards the end of last season. This game, Miami comes in at minus 119 odds. LA Galaxy come in at plus 298. Now, LA, in a rebuild themselves, they just added a few pieces. They've got a new head coach in Greg Vanney, one that I am very familiar with and really like. But I don't know how it's going to work quite yet. I think Vanney needs a little bit more time. I think they'll improve on their last season, but I don't know if they're going to even make the playoffs this year in LA. It depends on Chicharito as well. So LA Galaxy at plus 298, Inter Miami at minus 119, the draw at plus 227. I'm going to go the draw here. I like LA Galaxy. I like the pieces that they've brought in. I like what Greg Vanney has done so far. And Inter Miami has improved slightly, but again, still most of that base is still intact from last season's disappointing season. So I'm going with the draw in that one. Now, Columbus Crew and Philadelphia Union, your matchup between the Columbus Crew, the reigning MLS Cup champions, Philadelphia, the reigning Supporters Shield champions. This one nationally televised on FS1. Philadelphia comes in as a plus 246. Columbus minus 112, and the draw comes in at plus 254. Columbus really improved this offseason. They brought in a lot of pieces. They made a lot of good signings, free agent signings. They did not rest on their laurels as MLS Cup champions. Philadelphia, they lost a few pieces. Brendan Aronson and Mark McKenzie move over to Europe. Philly hasn't really replaced those guys yet, and they are replacing them with young talent, but not quite the signings that they need. So for me, the pick is Columbus to get the victory at home at the historic Crew Stadium is what they're calling it now, since the map free no longer has the rights because they're moving into their new stadium whenever it gets finished. So for me, Columbus Crew minus 112 is the pick to win over Philadelphia in a hotly contested match. The last game of the week, Vancouver Whitecaps against the Portland Timbers. Portland coming off their CCL games against Marathon. Vancouver has not made the playoffs in a few seasons. MDS, the coach, is got to be on his last legs. The odds in this one, Portland on the road, come in at minus 212, Vancouver at a plus 392, and a draw at plus 363. Huge disparity in the odds between Vancouver and Portland. Again, this game will be played at Rio Tinto Stadium, the home stadium for Real Salt Lake, because the Canadian teams can't play in their home stadiums in Canada because the government won't let anybody travel through to come play there. So, the Canadian government has put the Canadian teams at a very big disadvantage this season, and not only that, but there's a huge disadvantage between Vancouver and a Portland team, which could end up being Western Conference champions and fight for MLS Cup this season. My pick is the Portland Timbers to get the job done on the road against a Vancouver team that we just don't know enough about yet. Picked up a couple good players in Caicedo and Kyle Alexander, but we will see how that looks on the field, not just on paper. So my pick, Portland Timbers to get it done. And there you have it. There are my picks and predictions for week 1. Thank you so much for joining. Smash that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. And make sure you turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live with live stream reactions or next week's picks and predictions. So, thanks guys. We'll talk to you all very soon. Enjoy. And good luck with your bets.